And welcome. And we're back. Yes, this is Planet Collingwood. My name is Monty Dean. You are on Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And a big thank you to Tony and crew for the Y-Files. I can just imagine them sitting in a barber shop having a conversation. Not exactly the same as coming to America, less swearing. However, always intriguing. Just caught the last quarter, the last 20 minutes. And yeah, it was quite fun. So if you enjoyed the last 2 hours, please go to freedomslips.com and or revolution.radio and donate what you can to keep the station on air. And I think we're needed, and we proved that. So we're 100% listener supported. So thank you for all your support. And while you're at the me make words up. While you're at said website, go into the merchandise, buy some, the Zerilath store, buy some hats, some t-shirts, stickers, mugs, for all your muggy needs, and then pop into the chat room. We've got 43 people online. That's still twice as many that I usually, or 42. Damn, someone just left. I'm sorry, come back. So hello all, and as Planet Collingwood, it's been 7 days since the United States has a new leader, and it is a week is a long time in politics, and I'm sure I'll unpack all the insanity, words fail me at this point in time. Basically, I figured out that, as David Icke says, we are ruled by psychopaths and run by idiots. And a psychopath is just a high-functioning idiot, really. I have been joined by three lovely gentlemen across this wonderful planet, which is the shape of a pretzel, that we call Earth. I've been joined by Steve, Zerilath, Bruce MacDonald, and Cortek. Steve, how are you, sir?
Good. We are on day 7 of 15 days to stop admitting that Joe Biden is not the president.
yeah, the old kick the can down the road.
Righty. No, yeah, it's I'm having a significantly better day than I was on the day of the 20th.
So last Wednesday. Yeah. Well, that's from. Yeah, it's just. It feels like, wow. It's only been a week. Feels like another year's gone by, and Joe hasn't disappointed. We'll break that down. Believe me, we have a list. Bruce MacDonald, our correspondent in Central America. Is there anyone left there? Because apparently there's hordes of caravans heading towards the United States because Uncle Joe decided to end the wall, which is bought and paid for already. But Joe's Joe. Bruce, how are you?
Monty, I'm thinking of driving my motorcycle all the way up to the Texas border and getting citizenship myself.
Yeah, bit of a commute, but yeah, I can see that.
I get my teeth looked at. I'm going to get my teeth looked at. I'm going to get free medical, and I hear the chow is pretty good in those detention centers. So I want my benefits. And probably when I'm there, while they're working on the paperwork and they give me day leave, I'll probably drop a few anchor babies just to solidify my position.
Yeah, I like the fighting and sleep.
Are you going to pick an Obama era cage or a Trump era cage?
Yeah, and despite not being a citizen, I might just rage kill someone on the sidewalk if they scuff my sneakers.
Yeah.
Sounds like
Costa Rica's done for me, man. I'm going to the U.S. I'm getting my citizenship.
Yeah, I'm getting some of those.
Florida for me.
Yeah, some of those.
Looks like Florida, Monty.
Oh yeah, some of those Biden bucks, which I just made up. So got to get some of those Biden bucks because that print machine's going over time. There is a Simpson meme going around the internet where it's like, finally we won't see kids in cages, and it's Bart, and then Homer leans in. It's like, you won't see kids in cages on TV. Standard operating procedure. Meet the old boss who's a virtual boss who's the same as old boss and blah, blah, blah. From our New South Wales home office in Waratah, I have no idea where he is, let's be fair. Cortek, how are you, sir?
Very good, thanks.
Oh, calm down, you're going to hurt yourself.
Sorry, go on,
Jesus, Cortek, do you not have any new material? Give us a joke.
I've been too worn out making birdie memes.
Every Tuesday, you can't do a chicken cross the road. You can't do nothing.
Have you seen your state government? You can make fun of that constantly.
Yeah.
Dance, monkey, dance. Like the rest of us.
Do you want to eat a banana? You better get up there and jiggle.
All right.
I don't know why the organ grinder is Russian, but it works.
I got a Rodney Rood organ grinder joke, but it's not really appropriate.
No, not really. Anyone outside of Australia is like, what the hell's a Rodney Rood? Well, we'll allow you to search that on DuckDuckGo. Interesting enough, Google and Facebook having a bit of stoush, bit of argy-bargy with the Australian government. So they're threatening. Google is going, we may leave Australia. We may take our search engine. And being me, I'm like, and I think that's
Everyone's
a win.
a bit whatever about it, aren't they? Really?
Well, yeah, it's like, Google. Oh, no.
Oh, big tech threats. Get on your bike then.
Hopefully they don't get rid of YouTube. But apart from that, but it's like, oh, no, Google won't be able to track everything I do. Oh, I'm glad I'm sitting down. Oh, heavens to Betsy.
Sounds pretty hollow, doesn't it?
So I'm a little confused with the way the world is unfolding. And maybe it's because I live in the jungle and I'm not right there in America, or in Western culture, we'll say, with the high-speed internet and everything. But you guys tell me, are we still openly calling Tom Hanks a pedophile? Is that over now since the inauguration when he was there? Can we still do that? Like Tom Hanks is a pedophile?
Yeah, didn't you know?
You could say
Trump
what we want, can't we?
losing something means everything was a lie. Didn't you figure that out by now? Obama was the best president ever, bro. I'm cured of my Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah, I mean, Biden is going to bring jobs. He's going to increase wages and lower taxes. I can't even finish that paragraph. He's already
heard that before.
He's stopped the is it the Keystone pipeline from? He's pissed off Canada and was like, well, cool. That's what we were trying to be doing for a while.
Hey, liberals, the Obama administration isn't as appealing when you don't have a really cool president to make all the war crimes look great now, does it? Well, stop complaining about your Obama policies. You got them back. Isn't it fun to have Obama policies with whiteface on? Isn't this fun?
Biden's he's almost kind of got a charismatic smile, but it comes with a dose of kind of child sniffing, so you know it's never going to quite make it. Never going to just be able to just go.
I'm so glad there's a 100-day mask ban in the White House. He can't inhale the soul of any children that aren't allowed to walk in there.
It is like that when he does it. It is creepy.
It's popped up on Twitter today that apparently if you wear 2 masks, it's more effective, and it's got to the point that Ben Shapiro's gone, well, I'm going to wear infinity masks. Haha, I win. And then Laura Southern actually pointed out, it's like, well, I'm just going to wear 100 masks and pass out due to asphyxiation.
Yeah. But, we all know that Shapiro's hoarding all the masks.
Ah, well, of course. Why? I mean, he released a movie, but...
We all know that.
Yeah. Oh, you mean that Jewish lawyer type guy that plays violin quite well? Yeah, clearly a mask hoarder. Yeah.
Is he doing it to sell more like toilet paper? People who bought like a garage full of toilet paper?
Yeah. Well, look. They print masks like they print money. So I'm just assuming that Ben Shapiro has the most masks.
Whoever
haven't people figured out what I'm trying to imply yet? Damn it.
No, is it a visual gag?
Forget it.
Well, don't worry. I'll probably get it on Tuesday. Like, of course.
Owen Benjamin, I have failed you, my lord.
Do not bow to no one. Be a hobbit at the end of Lord of the Rings 3. You bow, you kneel to no one. Well, to be fair, they look like they're kneeling already because they're so short. And remember, the
chapter left on Fellowship. One chapter left on Fellowship on my first genuine read through on Lord of the Rings. I'm excited.
All right, I'll have a question about that after I get this joke out. He who has the most masks wins. So there you go. Are you enjoying it?
Oh yeah, I'm loving it. In some ways, as I look at the interesting decisions that they made, I almost would have hoped to have a couple of things pop up in there, like Like the big orc fight scene at the end is a much smaller deal that isn't that nobody is particularly making a connection to the wizard, and there's no crazy urka. They're like over a river throwing arrows at them kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, it's a small bit,
there is a difference between a book and a film, and that's why the movies actually have based on, and they're very, very, they're about 98% following it, and so when you transfer from the book from a written form into visual, you have to kind of tweak it, because when you get to the third book at the end, you'll understand why the ending's changed. Because the movie could go on for another 45 minutes with the last 4 chapters. It's like,
one of the funniest things is that they don't put Tom Bombadil in trilogy. They put him in The Hobbit for like a scene or two, but in Fellowship they don't do that, which is interesting. And I think the only reason why they didn't do that is because Tom Bombadil is an anomaly who isn't affected by the ring at all. He puts it on in a scene. In his first scene, he just puts it on like that. He doesn't go invisible. It doesn't alert the Nazgul.
Yeah.
And he doesn't change his personality or his influence in any way.
Yeah.
It's just a trinket. And for some reason, he's completely immune. And then they don't. And then the elves are like, well, Tom Bombadil is this weirdo and he can't do it.
Yeah, I think from the movie plot point, it's kind of like a side quest, and it breaks up the flow. However, they just didn't see Frodo wandering off and meeting him, and then he comes back. So it's, but I think that's the 1 or 2 changes. That there's a 2 or 3 changes out of the entire trilogy of books that they tweak. And you've seen the films enough to real fans watch the extended editions. I watched all 3 of them once. That's half a day. That's 12 hours long.
Oh, I know.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait when I'm done reading all the books to going and watching my extended edition on Blu-ray.
Oh yeah, it enhances it because Peter, what's his last name? I've gone blank.
Jackson.
Yes. The 6th member of Michael. No, he was holding the camera. Think about it, people. Look through the looking glass. They're all fans. There was always a book around. Even the mighty Christopher Lee. He used to. Well, he's passed on, or he's gone to another realm. He used to read Lord of the Rings once a year. And
it's inspired so many other artists, like people who are doing the art to other people. It's inspired so many people to do their own thing.
It created.
I think sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry, finish it.
No, so I was just going to say, I think that's the highest point in art if you can inspire other people to do art.
It inspired Dungeons and Dragons, and just in a very weak way, you could see that's where the fantasy genre sort of started. I know there's other ones, like, is it Elric, who basically got plagiarized for The Witcher, but during the 60s, people would spray paint on subways, Frodo lives, which is not, those 2 words together aren't in the book.
I thought it was Eric Clapton was God.
No, well, that too.
That's not false. That's false, though. Hendrix was much better.
Well, no, Lemmy was God, and he found out he had cancer and died 36 hours later, because that's the rock and roll thing to do. You have cancer. Well, bugger this. Ugh. And that was at the end of 2015, and then Bowie's gone, well, if Lemmy's going, I'm going, and that started that whole wave of celebrities dying in 2016. Remember 2016? Everyone hated that year because every famous person's gone, well, that's me. Good night.
Prince around then as well. They all went, didn't they?
Well, see, I think Prince was taken out because he was talking chemtrails.
He was talking COVID. Here, have a try this, he says.
I've seen I saw a meme actually. The only man that could...
guys like Prince and Michael Jackson, they were free men that also were duped by politics.
Yeah.
And the various things in the machine that they as younger people thought higher of, and went to these politicians to, and appealed to them to make a better world, and then they eventually betrayed them. And then they wanted to have nothing to do with them, and that's seen through the industry. Prince became the artist formerly known as Prince because he was doing his own kind of dismissing the legal name, almost like Free Man on the Land, but he had the money to do that. You see,
Michael Jackson's "They Don't Care About Us" song as well.
So they knew they had massive amount of political weight in the theater, and the kind of respect and articulation where, imagine if Michael Jackson and Prince were alive in 2016 and throwing their endorsement at Trump and completely destroying cognitive dissonance because of the reasons why.
Yeah, because Michael Jackson actually did work with Trump for charity and all, and a lot of that in the late 80s, early 90s, I believe.
Yeah.
Did you know, apparently, this is a rumor, and so, mind you, it's probably based on fact, because on this station, it's probably the weakest rumor. That's more believable than half the stuff that's said. I mean that respectfully, of course. Michael Jackson actually wanted to play Jar Jar Binks in episode 1 of Star Wars.
Is that true?
I just spent 30 seconds. Don't make me come up there.
I would have approved of that.
Yeah.
You know what else I would have approved of? The FBI treating Congress the way that they treated Michael Jackson when he was accused of horrible things that never happened.
Well, yeah,
because we all know how the pizza party fucking goes.
Hey, easy.
Whoa,
Sorry.
Hey, don't make me.
Those little moments. I'm sorry. Very sorry.
Far gone. He was saying far gone, like it far gone too far.
Overcooked.
Yeah,
yes.
Far gone.
Yeah, yes. Okay. So it's just, I'm tired and like, he said a swear word, react. Oh, stop that. Anyway, okay, now. Because that's still part of the lie. There are people saying, "Oh, Michael Jackson's a pedophile." Why? Because the media told you? Yeah. Have you got evidence? No. Oh, they had a trial. Yeah, and he was exonerated. 14 charges. But he paid that kid. Yeah, he was on. Yeah. Check out Razor Fist's defense of Michael Jackson, where he explains everything. And he wasn't a big fan. He wanted to do a video, his mythos of Michael Jackson's music, and just delved into the actual court records. Yeah. And no substantiation, no evidence at all. And then, Leaving Neverland came out, where it's like 2.5 hours or 4 hours long, and 75% of it's just bloody drone shots. Like, just come on, boring as. Anyway, so let's. That's the power of my gaslighting, and I've actually seen. Interesting enough, some Biden voters going, "Ooh, yeah, didn't think he'll go this nutty in a week." So there's a bit of buyer's remorse with the old Biden voters there, because one of the first things he did is he stopped the pipeline, and 42,000 jobs have been lost, and that's a bit of a chunk.
Has it kind of become like a Night of the Long Knives over there still? Where people not being happy they won, but actually trying to systematically remove any opposition to what we kind of think of as who was in.
Well, I'll pretend that I'm talking to Joe Biden and dumb it down really hardcore.
Dumb it down a shade.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's Trump evil, so we have to change everything that he's done. And even Biden's...
Oh, but not just that, but the lists of who voted that way, going after individual voters, or even labeling them as...
fascist.
Pretty much.
Yeah, someone who's not a fascist... because he's not. I mean, I don't have to explain that at all. HiJacker's joined us. How are you, sir?
Pretty good, Monty. How am I coming through?
Sounds good and clear to me.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, so 1 week into Biden administration, and we pretty much can see where we're going. I mean, he's hooked us back up to Middle East oil. Not going to make us energy independent, cutting like the pipeline. Let 180,000 illegal immigrants that are either been convicted of felonies or are charged with a felony, you're talking about murder, robbery, rape, home invasion. Got to let him go. Let him out. Fortunately, there was a Texas judge that said, a federal judge said, wait a minute. You're just not going to release all these people in the streets. These people are supposed to be sent back. That's the Trump administration policy. You know, we don't spend the time to prosecute them or to house them. Just send them back to their own countries and let them.
Okay, so these are overseas people kind of thing.
Yeah,
or people who traveled and
illegal immigrants, so trespassing, and then they'll actually, if they're caught for a crime, they'll be deported back to the country of origin.
Right, they're actually in ICE. They're actually in prison, and ICE. They're a part of a deportation program, and Biden, with his executive order, which fortunately a Texas judge jumped in. He goes, "You can't do that. You can't release. These are hardcore." And I know Bruce MacDonald knows what I'm talking about. These are hardcore third world criminals. I mean, they've grown up with a completely different worldview. If you can steal it, it's just like Geronimo. I stole those cattle fair and square. They're mine. No, the United States says, no, you got to give them back to Mexico. He goes, no, I don't. I stole those things fair and square. Those cattle are mine. So you're dealing with it completely different. But yeah.
Is the ruling getting appealed? Is it going up the chain of command?
Oh yeah. Biden already says, wait, no. These people are going to be let go. Now he's working on all these different bills. They got a voting bill you wouldn't believe, mail-in ballots, if you will, electronic signatures. 16-year-olds can vote. When you get a driver's license, you get automatically registered to vote. I mean, you don't need social security number or an ID to vote.
I don't think the federal government is allowed to do those things unless they care to announce that the Constitution is suspended. The state government establishes its rules.
Not federal election. This is federal, Steve.
Yeah, no, but you don't legislate the election. You can you bring it to the Supreme Court, and you have the various branches of government in different levels of participation.
You're not getting it, Steve. You're not getting it. There is no law. You're talking constitution.
Yeah, I know that there is no law, but my point is that there are plenty of lawyers that could try and make this argument. The thing is that people don't know that there is no law. So if they're not keeping up the illusion, then all it takes is someone to challenge it, to shatter the illusion, which then forces people to realize that somehow you don't have to be constitutional. To directly say that somehow you don't have to be constitutional,
right?
That
well, the
causes
point is,
a lot of concerns. Election fraud is the issue, full stop issue. Nothing else matters anymore but that.
Right. Well, the point is they've got these new, basically this bill that's being passed, which is going to put an end to Republicans getting any national election, re-election or whatever. I guess unless they're deep state. And then on the economic front, they're now going to put the minimum wage up to $15 an hour. You would say that would be a good thing. Being a Babylonian slave most of my life, I would say, yeah. But most people don't understand, as a small business person, when you pay somebody $8 or $10 an hour, actually double it in like unemployment tax, Social Security, there's other taxes. So when you're going to bump up an employee to $15 an hour, that means you got to pay another $15. So it's actually $30 an hour. That's going to kill 20% of the businesses. It's going to businesses.
It just means we have the same thing here, where the government tried to put an excise on energy, and to try and make them be greener coal power stations kind of thing. But they didn't put any legislation in place to stop the basic fact of step number 2. What's a company going to do when it's charged more or made to pay more taxes? It's simply going to put up their prices. So, I mean, the result would be, without that legislation in place, would be to it would just make everything more expensive.
Yeah,
And
but
then the
I'm
knock-on
saying
effects of that.
Yeah, Cortex. But when you get to the point to where a hamburger, ends up being like $7-8.
Yeah, it just makes it more expensive for everyone.
Right. Well, it turns into like Japan, where you can walk into a McDonald's in Japan and you can't afford. You just don't. You won't pay it.
Yeah,
So-
even here in Australia, our fuel prices jumped 40 cents over the weekend, and apparently it's just what's fuel like where you are, Bruce?
I like the way Cortex speaks. It's very cerebral. Thank you.
You got a man crush there, Bruce. I've had one of those.
Yeah.
All right,
Thanks
this is not
for
the
sharing.
dating. This is not the dating game. Come on, calm down. So tell me the way you think. Wow. Also, isn't Biden going to make 11 million undocumented immigrants citizens as well? So you add all that, economic collapse is coming. Bruce, go ahead.
Okay, so I'll lay out what's going on now if Biden's president, okay? He's going to be you want to know what your future is for the next 18 months in terms of policy, just look at Canada, because he's going to try and catch up to Canada. So Trudeau, Biden, Macron in Paris, and I don't know who else, but there's this Davos crew now that is really pushing the Great Reset. And what they want to do is destroy these economies, and Trudeau's doing it in Canada as well. And when you get to the point where you're asked if you want to go into this Great Reset where you'll own nothing but never have been happier, that's sort of the crucible. That's where it's a point of no return, and they don't want you to have any position to leverage to think about it. It's really not a decision. It's at that point the decision will be live or die, but they're masking it as a consensual passage. So it's nonstop degradation and humiliation now. Why at this precious time, this very delicate time for a recovering economy, you got a pandemic, this fruitcake is throwing out progressive legislation around minimum wage to further decapitate small businesses that are like 50% of them are gone just as a result of dried up revenues and continued overhead because they have to pay their leases.
Yeah.
Right? So this is an attack on the economy. This is a continuation of the Chinese warfare. This is the COVID. This is everything. We're in a state of war. How do you feel about your commander-in-chief?
Someone refers to him as Grandpa Earpiece. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's actually why I did call in tonight to kind of give the late night audience, the people that actually catch me, the heads up of what I'm going to do on tomorrow with Deacon John. If my computer holds up, I've been computer attacked. It's got hacked. I don't know what. I think I got to take it in. So I may cut out on this broadcast. I don't know.
I thought you saved the most important things for this show, Jacker.
Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm giving you a heads up. And it's not what Biden's doing. It's the big thing that's getting ready to happen. And this is getting ready to happen. At first, I thought, maybe I'm wrong. No, they're not really going to do it. But then when Biden appointed...
Well, spit it out, man. Spit it out. Then give us your rationale.
Right. Well, I'm telling you how I've come to this conclusion.
Yeah, but tell us after we know what you're talking about. Tell us
the conclusion first.
Yeah, work backwards. Tell the conclusion and then explain.
You're not selling us car hijack.
Think like Yoda. Think Japanese.
Okay, all right. In a nutshell, 3 models: war, and Trump is in reserve. So the first model, because we know that the military is the number one power that can actually stop the globalist. They're going to bust that down, which is the reason what brought me to this conclusion when they appointed the new Secretary of Defense, this black fellow that says we got to purge people from purge the military from white supremacists and extremists, which means we're coming to purge. No, what they're going to do.
look, I mean, we don't know what they're going to do with that. That's the Democratic trope right now, right? And they're trying to brace up their troops and say, look, that was a shaky day on January 6th, but don't worry about it. Saying these things and doing them are not the same thing, right? And a lot of people on the left are not going to be down with it. They don't want their enemies destroyed. They don't want this done to other Americans, no matter how much they disagree. You see, very often when we get dragged into these conversations of extreme, we lose that middle ground that most people try to hold to in life. And the other counterpoint I'll make is would you stop saying there's going to be war? War's been off the table since World War II. That's why the United Nations was created. They don't want large-scale warfare with massive infrastructure damage now. They still allow it, like they allowed Baghdad, they allowed Iraq, and they allowed some of the Middle East restructuring. But generally, they're not going to allow a war between China. Well, yeah, let me rephrase it. You're in the war now. Stop telling people war is coming. You're in a war now. It started with COVID. It's being. Why do they need to bomb you when they got Joe Biden in there doing their bidding?
Yeah, it's not conventional. It's not a conventional war.
Think,
so true.
Think, man, think.
McInerney said, like, this is World War III. It started with COVID, and this is what it looks like. It's these massive stresses upon the spirit of mankind. It's practically a war on happiness. And it's like, how do we make people unhappy and submissive without firing a shot?
Yeah,
which is what the Communist Party was interested in.
Yeah.
And communism and the Soviet Union before that is taking over the United States and Western civilization without firing a shot, right? So that also implies that you also can't fire a shot yourself to beat them. So, like, Trump's appearances of losing the election by letting it fall under military rule, and there's more evidence that the military is in charge than that the Biden administration is legitimate or real. There's literally more evidence of that now. I think we're looking at largely the posturing of a show, and if we're thinking that we understand the lie coming out of the media now, we don't. The media is slightly confused as well and playing it off cool. The Democrats don't feel like they got what they want. I mean, like Biden doesn't look like nobody looks effing happy in reality about much of anything.
They've done a poll, actually. They've done a poll of they framed it in a positive light, which is 1 in 5 Americans is happy with what is actually happening. In reality, in reality, 80% of Americans aren't happy with what's going on.
Right, but I'm saying that Chuck Schumer's not happy. Nancy Pelosi's not. These people, they're still not. They still have. They hate Trump so much because of something that we know is going on in the background that they're trying to posthumously, impeach him.
Yeah.
Especially because they can't have him running for re-election with the dirt on the fraudulent one.
Well, it's Antifa's still going. They hate the Democratic Party now, which is, we don't want Biden, we want revenge, and it'll be interesting to see what the federal government does then.
Now, you see, Trump stepping down. Now we and Antifa have a common goal: the Democrats.
Yeah, but I know. It's like, hang on,
Trump brought us together. Trump brought us together.
I'm not happy with their methods, and they're still insane. But wow, the goalposts have changed again. This is getting outrageous.
Look. If half of my friends that lost their mind due to Trump derangement syndrome in 6 months look back and start like where'd Steve go? He's not on Facebook anymore. Because they want to talk to me and be like, bro, you might have been right about a couple of things that I really grilled you about and said hurtful words. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it's in the realm of possibility now.
Well, there's a new term. It's PDSD. It's post Donald post PTSD, right? Post Trump derangement syndrome. Donald Jeffries. Yeah, he coined that one.
PTDS.
Right, on both sides. He goes, the people that miss Trump now, they feel a void, and the people that hated Trump no more. But I did want to finish the point on the big picture on what I think is going to happen. If I can interject here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So what is the big takeaway at the end of the day of this election, this fraudulent election? They installed an 80-year-old senile pedophile who's a career criminal, who's a communist Chinese asset at the very least, and the military just stood by as these Satanists basically took over. What they learned is that their only and remaining threat is the United States military. And that's why they appointed this particular guy as the defense secretary. He wants to purge it. But they're going to do more than that. So I think the military is fractured. I think, and I would like the Viking, if he's here, if he's out there, if he can come on to basically prop up Steve's argument that Trump is sort of the 19th president in waiting or whatever. I don't believe that stuff. Or if Biden's the president, which is ample evidence, all the jobs he's wiped out, all the different things he's doing, it's actually having real consequences. But so if there's a fracture in the military, this is where I see it going.
Why would there be one though?
Well, if I may very quickly, the way that the National Guard was treated over the inauguration, where
the cookies by the wife.
What? No.
You didn't know. Like, there was a whole bunch of reservists and stuff standing out in some car park, and she kind of brought out some cookies to them. It's like, that's not what they need.
The National Guardsmen that were stationed in the Capitol foyer, like the central area, they were shoved out to some municipal parking garage underneath one of the office buildings to the side of the Capitol, and then Jill Biden came down there with cookies.
Cookies.
Then after that, the real president of the United States said, "Yo, I got a really nice hotel down the street. You guys rest up. These people don't care for you at all." Well, Trump was able to win favor with his own men post-presidency.
Well, I've seen.
He's still running the country, folks.
Okay. I actually have seen Tulsi Gabbard on 3 different platforms. Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and I can't remember the gentleman, but on Fox News. Basically, just because she's a veteran, she went to Iraq. Just the disdain for the complete disrespect and dishonor that these gentlemen actually had, because of once the photo op was done, and they actually were just they were used by the Democrats, where the 25,000 troops, which is more than the troops in Iraq and Afghanistan. Once the photo op was done, they were just kicked to the curb and had to sleep outside and on concrete and totally disrespected like that. And it's got to be a slow. See, in the bigger game, from my perception, is Biden getting in, or what's actually happening, is going to wake people more up, because his actions are just going to I saw a graphic. In 3 days, President Clinton, I think, signed 1 executive order. Bush, I think, was 0. Obama was 5, and Trump was 1. Joe was up to 19. It's just
yeah, Marky. Well, before you pull in Viking, let me just give you real quick. Just give me 30 seconds. Don't interrupt. What I see is actually going on, and that is the military is the last line of defense on what's getting ready to happen to whether the republic lives or dies, and it does look like it's all about the military. So I think it's fractured. The patriotic part knows that China is the number 1 threat, And
Why would you say that the military is fractured beginning? Because that is its conjecture, and explain that first.
no, because the Joint Chiefs of Staff, basically all 8 of those generals signed that letter saying that Biden's going to be the 46th commander in chief.
Yeah, but Joint Chiefs of Staff, those are political positions.
Yeah.
There's generals and admirals and colonels that ain't having any of this. And
and that's not together.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fracture. So there's a fracture. One part of it wants to say China's the number one threat. We need to take them on now before they overrun us. Bruce MacDonald would probably say, here. He knows all about the Chinese. The other faction, which is the Joint Chiefs of Staff, they have allegiance to the Ziocons, the Zionists, and the neocons. They want the war to be in Iran, and that's how they want to grind down the U.S. military.
That's not a fracture. That's political people from like the officer class, like deep state guys that are they're doing.
So you got the two models. One part of the military wants to say, let's do China now. The other part says, no, let's grind the military down in a land war with Iran. And then there's the third option. The third option is things get so bad in the next couple of months, and Randy or Viking can add this, is that they pull Trump out of mothballs, and Trump becomes the economic messiah. He does a deal with Putin and Xi Jinping for a worldwide $100 trillion global type of Belt and Road inclusive plan, and we don't go down the dark road. That's the third model. Who's
the leading non-political generals, various names that top brass of military, non-political, that are going to obey, going to follow, going to be loyal to this Joint Chief of Staff scenario, which is of course part of the coup. So who's out there? I want to know.
I think the patriotic colonels and generals and this and that. I don't think they're going to let those 8 men that killed the Republic sign that letter.
They're 8
I don't think they're going to let them live.
Listen to. Nobody's going to follow their orders. Is my point.
No, they're going to do worse than that.
If I may, in a way we're roundabouting, and at the start was I can bring in Viking. So why don't we bring in Viking and see what he says?
That's great.
Viking, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good, gents. Got my coffee. I'm in my chair. So, first of all, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the Skull and Crossbones, all the way there. Supporting this fake administration. First of all, this is the United States of America Incorporated. It's not. It's a fake election, and the military is not from full bird colonel to 5-star general. They're not acknowledging this. It was evident when he did his motorcade and all the military on the side of the road was turning their backs. They didn't accept any cookies from the first lady. All of the military you see being shot in photos have no medals, so they're costumes. They're dressing people up as military. He has no access to the Pentagon. They tried to get the nuclear codes. They tried to get the invoice that they sold Saudi Arabia all these jets because they wanted to see what was their potential power in these weapons, and they denied that request. This is two regimes. You got this fake administration, pulling its parody, and you got the military right next to it in full operation. There's two consortiums that are in charge, and this is going to be very similar to a banana republic, where you're going to see a military coup here. I'm guessing by April 1st, if not by March 4th. By no means has Trump conceded. By no means has he stepped away with the idea of never coming back. He's just taking a respite, and he's letting the military do its due course. There's thousands of arrests occurring. They're just buying their time. The reason why it didn't happen on the 20th is just when they were going to drop the hammer. The Dems came forth with the idea. With the threat of three suitcase nuclear bombs, dirty bombs that they placed around the city, and the military had to back down. I mean, they're ready to drop the hammer, but they had to back down at that point, and so they're just regrouping at this point. There's the chief joint the staff there. He has no connectivity to the military. The military is not recognizing this administration.
Yeah.
I find it hard to give any credence to anything QAnon, up until the very last buzzer. The whole kind of emergency broadcast message thing was still being pumped and things being sent around, like when Mechanic kind of called in, and stuff was obviously still being disseminated up until the very last minute. I mean, really, is it not just the biggest digital psyop of last year?
Well, you have to understand we're talking about, like, see, there's a mixture here, right? Because, from 2015 moving through 2016, and before people caught attention to some weird little thing happening on a little strange, like, hentai site called 4chan, where it all started on, like, I don't know, it was like February 2017 was the first introduction of Q Clearance Patriot or whatever. People were looking at Trump, and it was kind of a trust Trump thing, right? And so they hijacked trusting Trump by using retro continuity to build credibility and authority behind QAnon as being part of the Defense Intelligence Agency's work with the White Hats.
Yeah. It was half believable.
To help Trump take the country back. That's the whole thing, right?
Showed me there was a lot of people that were interested in making a difference. That's what it showed me, regardless of whether it was a psyop or not.
In Trump and reality things happening. That's what I look.
There's there's QAnon, because they're the two separate entities. Q's been around at least since JFK was assassinated. It was basically a military faction of our government, of our military status, that was put together to reclaim the constitutional ethics of our government.
What's it achieved since that time?
What?
What's it achieved since that time, or has it just been a rolling psyop since then?
It achieved the Trump administration, so don't be so condescending.
Yes, it has, but it had its like, it was about ready to roll. This is again, you're going to get into a lot of theory here with 9/11, but 9/11, with the big gold heist, they're using that gold. They're going to use that gold to roll out our new gold-backed currency, and so that was part of the reason why they took down the tower was because they're about ready to switch over to what is known as Nasara, Nasara and Nasara, and that basically stalled that. So it had a couple attempts since JFK thwarted. They did put Trump in power, and QAnon is more or less a deciphering code or group of people that, take all the Q posts and break them down, because they're kind of cryptic, and so they're
kind of open to interpretation like that. It just seems like ongoing hopium for people not to do much.
Because Mar-a-Lago was officially a satellite White House, and Mar-a-Lago, where Trump has established the office of the former president, there is a skiff room in there. And so, like I said, and like a lot of people are now realizing, Trump is going to be doing to Biden what Obama and other ex-presidents were doing to him. Trump is working in the shadows. It's like I said, Donald the Gray is fighting the Balrog.
Trump is, he basically did sign the Insurrection Act. That is in place, and the White House is vacant. There's nobody in the White House. Even the vice president's mansion is under so-called construction. It's just so covert here. what was taking place. You know, all his inaugurations were pre-recorded. They were done in the studio, Castle Rock studio. You can see when you look out the windows, there's a parking lot. You know, the curtains are wrinkled. There's pictures on the walls that was from earlier movies.
Flags,
you know, the wallpaper changed. You know, and there's absolutely, they have not been in the White House. And
he's practically on the set of The West Wing, literally.
Yeah,
It's like,
or there's a couple movies that actually played, like I'm not sure what they call
Monty's joke was a prophecy.
Yep.
So
I have that power. Very quickly, Viking, did you see the video of dare I call him President Biden? But anyway, Gropey Joe. He got caught on a hot mic saying, "I don't even know what I'm signing," and still signed it anyway.
Said, plus the signs down. Or when he's walking up the steps, there's two military armed left and right, and he mutters, "Salute the Marines." You know, so his earpiece, "Salute the Marines." He's just repeating what he's being told. He's brain dead. He's absolutely brain dead. You know, it's like they just lead him around, and also when they zoomed in on him signing that document, you know, if you zoom in to where you see his hand, for one thing, he's switched hands. He's signing with his left hand, not his right hand. His signature is completely different, and the page was blank. You know, and it's like, it's just, I mean, it's the whole thing is staged. It's staged.
Let me tell you what I saw when I was looking at that on that day one. You had this huge stack of executive orders. So, okay, that figures. Here comes the death of the Trump policies. And I'm watching him just like sign it the way that he's signing it. I think he's even in the mask or whatever. And I remembered from a few years ago before Stan Lee died, and he was at like a Comic-Con or something, and it was the autograph signing, right? And it broke my heart because it's just like, I watched my grandfather pass away. I was in the house with him when he passed away. I know what it's like to see somebody on their way the F out, and live through that.
Nice.
So yeah, he's just, like Stan Lee was just, it looked like he was like being forced to just sign, and it's like fans that like, there was no, like, it was an assembly line. Fans had like 3 seconds. There was no whatever.
A little conversation in there.
And it's just like, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I would have, I don't know, or I would have intentionally slowed it down, because it's like, wait a minute, I'm afraid I might be the only person that would have been human to the guy making autographs. And
more important to meet you than to get your signature.
In the middle of the machine. Right, so Biden is just in the middle of the machine. He's signing autographs for the sake of the fact that that's his job. It makes him money to put his signature onto things.
Right. Well, let me interject here. So there is some truth to what Viking is saying. I've seen the same footage you're talking about. I've seen the anomalies. I think tonight. The White House went dark, as well as the Washington Monument. They don't know why. So there's lots of weird anomalies with it. But this is what we do know. We do know that there is a fraction that the United States military is fractured. A good majority of them know that. Are they going to be the people that actually allow a treasonous, pedophile, Satanist, criminal, actually, with an illegal election, we can all see, are they going to actually let him take power with a vice president who's an anchor baby, who's not like a real American? I think you got the music or something, Monty. Go ahead.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's moved up a minute. So you're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. This is Planet Collingwood. My name's Monty Dean, and you're awesome. We will be back after these messages, so stick around, and we'll continue having this awesome conversation. And welcome back to Revolution Radio. That echoes back again. I'm standing in a cave. Oh, now it's gone. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Server. You strange... Oh, hang on. What do you mean you muted? What? That's not good. Don't mute the... Okay. I don't know what's going on now. It's all just gone weird. I guess...
Well, listen, Monty, we're listener supported, and also, how can people support you you got a big show on Tuesday night. You bring in the numbers. So, Monty, why don't you talk a little bit about yourself first, and then maybe Revolution Radio.
Well, I'll do Revolution Radio because I know that better. I talk about myself. Hi, I'm just me. If you enjoy Revolution Radio, Studio A, this is Planet Collingwood. My name's Monty Dean. If you enjoyed the last hour, please go to the website and donate what you can so we can continue having Studio A and B on air. That whole freedom of speech thing, which they're trying to clamp down on. And it's going to be, we're part of the, as Amiga Leglos says, welcome to the front lines of freedom. I like that. That kind of is, because, if you listen to the station a lot, we don't all agree on everything, but we do agree that we should have the opportunity to have freedom of choice, freedom of speech. There is a responsibility with that. However, you can disagree with people and still be friends and move on with your life. It's good to hear other things instead of echo chamber, which has been around on the internet for 5 years, where you just like, I say this, well, so do I. Groupthink. We're more wrong think.
I'd fight for you to say anything, Monty.
Sorry?
Regardless of what it is, I'd fight for your right to say it.
Yes, yeah. And yeah, people like The Last Jedi. Well, you have freedom to say that. You're wrong, but you have the freedom to say... That's a joke, by the way.
Yeah, well, Monty, get where they can support you with, wafer thick.
Wafer thin. You almost got it there. It's a bit of a opposite. It's Wafer Thin Entertainment on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, Wafer Thin Entertainment on YouTube, and there's a PayPal donation button on the main channel page, and you can donate. If it's American money, that's so much more Australian money because of the exchange rate. So everything helps, and with the... we've been here in Australia. We've been having the COVID supplement to help out people on Job Seeker. There's also JobKeeper, but that's going to end in about a month, and a lot of people don't know what's going to happen because the government sucks. And when you're on unemployment benefits, welfare, you're actually below in Australia, below the poverty line. And so 1.3 million people are going to go below the poverty line in about 5 weeks.
Apparently, they've already reneged on the bushfire, 4 billion bushfire money that they promised at the time to people. That's never come around. So,
no, of course not. I mean, governments, they say things, but they never do anything. I mean, Biden apparently is giving billions of dollars to Ecuador and El Salvador and all that, and yet you see, people on the streets in America starving and trying to get, bread lines have popped up, and the economic turmoil, half business is gone, and apparently giving foreign aid is the right thing to do. It's like, well, not during what you're referred to as a pandemic. Maybe look after your own people. And the Babylon Bee, the satirical site, have a great article. Which was the man who's been calling half the country Nazis wants to unify. That's not going to work out well. We're told that 80 million people voted for Biden, but where are they? Because it's like a tenth of them actually care, and it's not that Trump. Anyway, if you can go to that...
let me get back to the bifurcated presidency. Revolution.radio or Revolution... or freedomslips.com, you can give a donation as well too.
Yes, there's also a merch store as well, and then you pop into the chat room and hang out with awesome people. I can also be found on, right now we're on DLive through the Zerilath channel. Is it a channel, Steve? Is that the right term?
I think so, on dlive.tv / Zerilath, Zerilath. I made affiliate today, meaning that you can subscribe to me, and I can host your DLive channel and all these little cute things and various perks. So come on down and enjoy the show.
Excellent. Congrats. I'm also on Anchor FM, and I'm actually starting to put this up as an archived show on Anchor FM. So that means I'm actually on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So I mean,
it's also pretty cool, big market too.
Yeah, because I just trying to get
lots of ears.
Get the word out there, and hide in the comedy thing, but still share all this information. So it's kind of looking up. especially from a comedic point of view. And geez, the last 7 days, it doesn't feel like 7 days. It feels like a decade. So Viking, I know we love a good chat about what's happening with timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly stuff. How's your last 7 days been?
Very intense. I mean, it's definitely the compression is ramped up here. I just want to really share here. I've been saying this for a year, that the deep state in the Democratic Party and all of their, their nasty stratagems that they have been using to subjugate the masses had to play out to the bitter end. I mean, all the way to the very end in its full glory, because there's two aspects here. One is, that you guys have pointed out, it's awakening the masses. Everything that they've done, from COVID to writing on the street to the mail-in election. I mean, everything has been designed in that respect. With their thinking that they're moving forward, they're shooting themselves in the foot, because they're waking up. They've awoken up millions of people. I mean, absolutely, just like in shock. They're in shock and awe, fetal position. Doing the 180 and realizing that it's been the Matrix. And it really is the case. Now, here we are in this, and what we're waking up to here is a higher energetics of understanding. When you're starting to have a faculty of understanding, and to where you can start to draw your own conclusions, you're no longer in this mind set or the subjugated mind control with the virus, stuck in your DNA that's been confining us. It's because this definitely is a dark art spell, that they've entrapped us with. So once you wake up, you're in a whole new ballpark. So you have to understand what's happening here is we are transitioning from this old 3D paradigm, this old ballpark of subjugation and chaos and fear and judgment and expectation is all part of this realm that we're all caught in, because we all thought, this, we all thought that, we all hope this, and all hope that, and in our perspective, the whole thing's gone down the tubes. But in another reality, you have to shift the ballparks. There's a whole new ballpark that's forming here with Trump now. They've formed a whole new party called the Patriot Party. Military is in full speed ahead here in this transition. We are going into a brand new global political status and economic status. It's all starting to take formation. So people are still caught though in this 3D ballpark. This is where you have to really just back away and understand that it's playing out its course. It has to play out. But what is happening on the other ballpark is a formation of a brand new paradigm of economic and political a negotiation that's going to literally bring this new Jasara and Nasara, an economic playing field that's equal around the world, and it's going to kick in a whole new way of life. So it's like, just don't go there. Don't keep your expectations and resentment and judgments and fears stapling you in, because it's collapsing. It literally is collapsing.
Yeah,
and you're going to have to back away. You have to back away and find this new ballpark and find this new way of envisioning how you're going to involve yourself in it.
Yeah, and on a 3D level, even the smallest awakening or the starting point is that people are seeing the corruption in the system. And that's sort of tips you over the edge, where it depends on your own personal experience of how you'll deal with things. But it is so blatant. That's why I think allowing Biden to get in and his actions, it's like, well, hang on, he's not, like, he's upset. Antifa's still nuts. Black Lives Matter, the BLM organization, are still complaining that Biden hasn't talked to them since November the 2nd, or whenever the election was.
He still owes the money.
Probably, yeah. And it's the just everything, like more lockdowns, and it was just standard play by the Democrats to lie to get in, and then they've got power and they can do anything they want.
It does seem like they're doing a sitcom and they're the only ones who don't think they're the only ones that are believing it, kind of thing. It's like it feels like the rest of the world in terms of social comments on things that are put out are just, this is the end. That it's like what it felt. Sorry, what it felt like when Clinton was about to get in. What's her name? Hillary. When she was about to get in, it felt like, well, if she got in, the whole game's gone, and it feels like now they've got to win. But then, the idea of journalism, the idea of politics is in the bin.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like, what is CNN doing? Like, apart from they're still probably trying to find ways of bringing Trump back in as a subject, because there's nothing. If you've seen, like, it's only been 7 days. I'm saying that more for myself. Wow, it's only been 7 days. You can see the press. The press, not secretary, but who's the main press person at the White House? The press spokesman? Is that
Karen?
Yeah. But the title, it's press
secretary.
Secretary of Karen's.
Yeah. The questions they're asking, and when they get actually a hard question, we've got other things to talk about, and you can see the hypocrisy and the corruption just from her. Like, one journalist I remember saying, where it's like, really? I mean, this is hard hitting. Will President Biden keep the same color scheme on Air Force One? Well, that's a good question. I'm glad you asked that. And I'm like, really? You've got COVID, you've got economic collapse, you've got all this other stuff, but yeah, let's talk about a paint job on a plane.
Well, they did that. They did that in like the way that she answered it, right? It's very much like the joke in Family Guy with Mayor West, and like the guy asks Mayor West like a pertinent question about like a pipeline or something for sewage in Quahog, and then all the mayor did was compliment the question asker and compliment the question and make them feel good about asking the question, and then left it at that.
Yeah. HiJacker, you wanted to share.
Yeah, so let's start with the hard, cold facts that we know. We've got the conjecture and the theory that it's a Viper type presidency. There's actually two presidents, the whole QAnon narrative. But what are the actual facts we know? We know that President Trump, he won in a landslide. We know the military intelligence knows exactly how they did it, who's who, and all the rest of that. So that's a fact that we got an illegitimate president. No question about it, who's a pedophile and a criminal, probably a Satanist, and probably a communist Chinese asset. So this is what we do know. We do know that there's this is a fact, that there's patriotic forces within the United States military, the last line of defense, which is not going to have any of this. That's the other fact that we know. We know for a fact that the only institution left on the earth that can basically stop the one world order from taking over the entire earth through the United States is the United States military. That's a fact. So we got all of these facts lining up. And so now what we come to is, basically we're talking about, what is the United States military going to do? It's fractured. There looks like there's about to be a civil war or purging in it, especially if this latest United States defense general basically becomes, wait a minute, he's a general, he's got to get special permission to actually be a general cannot be in charge of the Department of Defense. He's got to relinquish his military.
Yes, this is what I was saying. He's political. There isn't a faction in actual career military people. There might be a traitor in their midst, but they cleaned house in the Pentagon before Trump. General Flynn was obviously part of that. Did you know that after Joe Biden was inaugurated, they promoted Charles Flynn, General Flynn's younger brother, who's Flynn Flynn's got dude, we're doing fine with the military.
But this is not about Flynn. This is about what the next big thing is.
Dude, it was about Flynn for the deep state. They let him go 2 years after the fact, more or less. They kept him cycling in hell. And Trump, for whatever reason, waited till the last minute to pardon him, most believed to prove a point of the spite level of this one particular judge for various reasons that are yet to be revealed.
What I'm saying, Steve, is that they don't care about a general here or a general there. They care about Taiwan, Australia, India, the direction of the United States.
They care about the ringer. Yeah, they care about Taiwan, but if the enemy of their agenda has a ringer, they have to focus a lot of effort on their ringer. Okay? Trump's got the ringer, and that's why he sacrificed power. If he didn't sacrifice power, this actually would have gone wrong. I'm starting to understand that a little bit more clearly now.
Well, I'm just trying to give the three models in which the United States government is about to go. And it's pretty much, it's all about the military, it seems like. So the one model is the patriotic forces within the Pentagon, within the military, know that China is our number one threat. It looks like at this hour, through Joe Biden and Harris, they've been able to take America without a shot being fired. So there's a certain faction, the patriotic faction, that wants to deal with China now. But I think there's another faction that know that the military is a threat, and they knew they need to grind it down and to neutralize it. And the best way they can do that is a conflict in the Middle East with Iran. And so I'm thinking we're on the verge of a false flag in the Middle East to pull the military back that way and to leave the Israelis and the Chinese basically to chop up and, devour.
That sounds the most believable to me. It would stack up the military-industrial complex coffers a little bit. They've been suffering the last terms or whatever. That sounds more believable. But I think you're a little bit harsh to try and put responsibility of saving the world on the U.S. military alone. The effects of this election have been worldwide, not just in your country. People and other countries get their ideas of how they're going to act politically from a lot of these precedents that are set down from Bush invading countries that the world didn't want to invade and all that kind of stuff. There's no confidence in there was little to begin with, but there is now zero confidence in politics, and I'm not sure when we started trusting the media again either. Over.
Yeah, but the Cortex. What I'm saying is that you cannot let somebody like a Biden get to the highest rungs of power if you're in the military.
There's no power unless the people give it to them, and what I've seen through the last week is no one putting up anything about Biden, but 6 million memes about what's his name crossing his hands with the mittens.
Bernie
Sanders. Everyone wants to have a great time. How can we do that whilst not giving any props to this sitcom that's going on?
Well, that's the media is propping up.
It's compromised. If it's over for the military, like you're saying.
No, I'm not saying that at all. You're saying that. You seem to be hammering that point, but I don't believe that's so. You've got a couple of people at the show, the show end of things that you are towing the line. But I think the American military will be more solid than ever through this.
Tulsi Gabbard actually, and I'll hand off to Viking. Tulsi Gabbard said that they have an oath to the Constitution and to the flag or America, and what Biden is doing, it's going to be a vast jump to try and go against that. And so I think that's kind of the cognitive dissonance where they have to follow orders, but if it's unconstitutional, the gaslighting and the brainwashing to try and get the military to fall into and become like the Stasi, I don't see it happening because
people are not going to do that anymore.
No, it's because they've all got families and they'll be seeing. The thing is also, you don't want to get rid of the United States because it's a massive engine on the planet, engine of just, if the America falls, the whole planet basically collapses. So they may try and take it over and keep it humming along, but I don't really see that happening because of, as HiJacker has pointed out, there's the military aspect of it's like, well, this is not what we signed up for. Viking, go ahead, please.
Well, no, you're right, Monty. The military swears allegiance to uphold the Constitution against any foreign or domestic adversary. They're not sworn to the president. This is very clear. They are a separate entity that enforces, our sovereign right, and it's clear that and there's a present danger, as HiJacker is pointing out. There's a clear and present danger. The current administration is treasonous and seditious. And this is going to be their, the hammer on the anvil. It's going to drop, and I think they're just trying to, wait things out a bit. And Trump's being kept in the background, so he's not responsible for these actions. It's going to be the military. And then they're going to bring him back as the again. They're not even going to use the. From what I'm hearing, Washington D.C. is a dead zone. It's going to be demolished or reconfigured, but that's not going to be where the new White House is going to be. It's going to be probably in Texas or.
I mean, I don't.
I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet.
Sorry.
So this whole thing is going to have a transformation beyond our current perception of reality. It's going to go into this. It's being configured, and I believe one of the reasons why they're holding off is to see if, in fact, the stock market's been in a losing position over stable days. It's been open, and they're trying to see maybe if if in the next 2 to 3 weeks if everything becomes unglued.
Go ahead, Steve.
Thank you. Sorry about that, Viking. I thought that was your moment at that moment. Yeah, it has to be criminal because of things like house rocking the stock market or whatever, right? Like right now you have government doing all these things while they are secured in their little prison, right? And because average you and me has not the right at this current moment to perform our First Amendment duty to petition what is going on over there, which involves at its highest levels showing up in person, and seeking audience with legislators or with the president or what have you. Because none of that can happen, the country, the federal government shouldn't be changing policies on the fly, making laws on the fly, going through various investigations on the fly. Like there's nothing going on, and there's no direct input from the American people, right? So that's a big problem unless this government isn't real anymore.
Right. So what I'm basically saying, the one model is that Biden and the Ziocons basically want to grind up the United States military. They throw them into the Middle East in a land war with Iran. That's the one model. The second model is the Patriot forces within the United States military know what the plot is, know what the Chinese did with the Kovan attack, the fraudulent election, Biden, everything else. They do a sophisticated technological air and naval war only in the South China Sea and basically smack back China that way. And then the third model is sort of what Viking is talking about, is that President Trump, he's left in reserves because he's known as an economic messiah. Everybody knows he did the economy, it was really good, is that neither side actually want to go to a war with China or to go back into the Middle East with Iran. And so they come up with another model. And that model is the $100 trillion infrastructure worldwide of the Chinese Belt and Road, where Trump is reinstalled. He makes a deal with the great and mighty king of Mother Russia, Putin, Xi Jinping of China, Japanese, Australia, and India, and South Korea. And they come up with a whole new economic plan to basically to commercialize every square foot of the earth as we know it. That's the other method, and that's why they would actually keep President Trump in a reserve fashion, when all this goes to crap or goes to shit, it's already happening, is that they're going to pick up Trump and they're going to say, you're going to have to come back either by setting up new elections, a military takeover, something like that. But so those are three models I'm going to lay out tomorrow on Deacon's show. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, something from someone has to come in that's going to bypass these little weasels' sense of self-preservation. You got to remember, all these people are blackmailed by the forces connected to the Ghislaine Maxwell situation, right? And so
what's going on with her at the moment?
These people are not going to give us anything, because they know the disgrace and the destruction of that. They're more terrified of that coming out than I am of being black-bagged by the communists for organ harvesting right now.
Well, it's I would hate to be the PR guy or girl who would actually have to try and sell Trump's coming back. If you think about it, just from the general public, the 4 to 5 years of Orange Man bad gaslighting.
It would never happen, and someone in his position wouldn't want to either. You just this thing becomes just this parody of itself, this sitcom trying to pretend it's real, using the media it owns as its mouthpiece, and it there's just distrust in both senses.
Yeah. But if you bring if the power vacuum is Trump's being reinstalled, you'll actually have to have. Like, this is why, in this scenario, Trump is off the board and hiding in the shadows, because he's such a divisive character at this point in time in the general public's perceptions, because they still think he's a Nazi and a racist and everything else like that, unless you do your research and go, well, the media lied. And so if they bring back, I'm glad you're sitting down, Cortek. If you actually bring back Trump, you have to, dare I say, as a poor example, Hillary Clinton gets arrested and actually gets tried and convicted for her crimes. And you sort of need to point out that Trump's not really a savior per se, but he's the right man at the job for this point in time, because people are going to figure out that we're better under Trump than they are under Biden. And Skype has a new feature of raising hands, and it's kind of cool because I know who wants to talk now. So I'm just Viking was first, and then HiJacker. Go ahead, Viking.
No, I mean, in order for HiJacker's first plan to work, the military would have to be cohesive with. I mean, they don't look at him. They don't look at Biden as a supreme commander in chief. They're looking at him as a clown. So that'll never happen, because who's he going to employ to attack Iran or Syria? It's not going to happen. They won't even let him on a military plane. He had to hire a private jet to get to where he's going.
Yeah,
the military has nothing to do with him.
So good.
Wait a minute, Viking. The Israelis can do a false flag. They can sink one of our ships in the Persian Gulf, and away Biden goes. So it's out of his hands. They can.
There's been so many false flags.
Let me tell you. You want to know what happened with this inauguration and everything?
Well, let Viking answer.
Sorry.
I'm just saying that there's been so many, false flags occurring the last 4 years that he could have gone into war or could have. I don't think that the generals are going to take a false flag. There's been several false flag attempts. The generals are standing down. They're seeing it for what it is. I don't think that would bring him in.
HiJacker, and then Steve.
Yeah, all I'm simply saying is that if we see an aircraft carrier in the middle of the night on fire being torpedoed in the Straits of Hormuz, and it's called the Iranians, and we see guys jumping off an aircraft carrier with an aircraft carrier going up and then sinking, you better believe that the American people are going to get behind Joe Biden, and whatever he says to do, they're going to do. I mean, don't just stop that.
Sorry.
Oh, don't worry. We're all talkers here, Steve, and it's just like, I want to say something, and you're showing restraint. So thank you, HiJacker. Did you finish your thought?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Steve, you're most welcome to step up and no rap battles, but go ahead.
Sorry. All right. I'm gonna try to remember 3 points as fast as I can. I'll go backwards. The Iranian thing. You see, they won't get behind Joe Biden for to go to war. For 2 reasons. A, the right is intelligent enough because we've been the ones talking about the false flags and we want peace, but very serious peace one way or the other. And the left isn't going to like it because the left has a favorability towards Iran. Oh, that's kind of funny. Wouldn't that, I don't know, bring Americans together? So there's that. The inauguration situation, once again, bringing it, talking about private jet for Biden in, Air Force One for Trump out. Well, how about this? As the guy who does tarot reading, you literally have 2 chariot cards that have been pulled for 2 presidents, and the outgoing president gets the chariot upright. He gets the accolades, the dignified sound off. The man going through the accolades for the ritual to come in is getting a dead ritual with no honors. He's got the chariot card reversed. Now, the last thing is, y'all better be working on healing as much race relations in this country as possible, because there's a question of how good our work on healing race relations are, because they may believe that they will be successful with another killing of somebody in the name of Black Lives Matter, right? That can pop up, and
Super
we have
important.
to ask ourselves, did we role play enough of what we did last summer? Are we chill now?
It seems
Are
to
we
be
cool?
the easiest
You know,
divide and conquer card to pull.
Yeah, but that would be a pushback if there's another police shooting, because it's under Biden, and it's sort of in a way we're talking about, because I was watching the inauguration, that crappy thing where Biden said yes on that Bible, which was bigger than a phone book and looked like a satanic cross on it. I could be wrong. I usually
What's
am.
the name have gloves on? Did she have gloves on?
I don't know.
No, she had a purse underneath.
Yeah,
her
yeah.
hand or
Kamala
something?
actually took the oath of office on her purse. So, because apparently she couldn't touch the Bible because she would start smoking.
Burn her hand off.
Yeah, burn her hand off. Yeah. Just the democratic delusion that they have, where they're all smug and like, we got rid of a dictator and we're the best thing for America, and it's like you called half the country deplorables and other names for 4 years, and now you want to unify. And it's just like, so like, and as they keep going with this delusion that they're the reality that they've created, where they think they're completely godlike. Have you seen those covers for magazines where they're painting Biden as Jesus? Have you seen those? I'm not a Christian, but even I find that blasphemous. And also, it's because Joe doesn't know where he is, and let alone the Messiah. But it's that level of stupidity, because today we just I saw a tweet today, we got rid of a dictator. Name in history one time that a dictator was voted out of office. It's not really a dictator, is it? But the fake reality that they're putting forward is they keep going, and their actions will betray their words, basically. And as they keep going on, where economic collapses, they've ramped it up even more because of now it hasn't been mentioned on the show, but Biden apparently is allowing a Chinese company to get into the power grid. And if any Chinese companies, basically the Chinese government, because they allow that to happen, type thing.
Not Huawei, is it?
Yeah, well, I want to see Viking's timeline. I mean, I laid out 3 alternatives: a war with Iran, war with China, or
they would
Trump become the economic guy of the world.
I would say Syria first. Go ahead, Viking. Sorry.
Well, as far as Iran goes, you have to also understand the algorithms for Iran over the past 7 days, and they've appeared a couple times, is they're wanting to bring Biden back into the nuclear peace deal, which is a multi-billion-dollar slush fund. that they've been sorely missing since the tenure of Trump. They did this back in Obama's administration, where they sent over pallets of cash.
Yeah, but Biden
that got distributed. That got distributed to the deep state. Now, I don't think that they're going to want to disrupt that. I think not. I think Iran's out of the picture.
They got the federal government budget. They don't need Iran anymore. They're balking against that. They're not going back into the Iran agreement. That's why Putin came out.
I believe if Biden's administration kept its tenure, they would actually do this. Yes. And as far as Syria goes, Russia's still pretty involved in Syria. Going to Russia with Syria would be going to a war with Russia, and I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, they like to blame Russia for things, but they won't actually do anything. The joke is Russia. I burnt the toast. It was Russia. The dog crapped in your hallway. It was Russia. But they won't actually do anything.
Turkey tried that. It didn't end up too well.
Yeah. I mean, even there's are you aware of what's happening? I think it's Armenia, and I can't say the other. I can't remember the name of the country, but it's where the guys from System of a Down come from, and it got that bad. They actually recorded some new music, and they're trying to help out all the Armenians because Turkey's being Turkey. And so I think, and someone mentioned as well that Biden could they'll start trying to do some military action because that's what they do. That's, the 4 years of Trump never happened, and it's the Obama train continuing on. But Poland's also fighting against big tech, where I think they'll, if, say, Facebook deletes or shadow bans any Polish citizen, they get charged $2 million or fined $2 million. And so what we're seeing is pockets of resistance, if I can go a bit sort of World War II theatrical. And this is what I mean, where if it's the big push by the New World Order, there's just normal people that want to live their lives and are tired of all this for the last century. Like the 20th century's on paper completely shocking, where so many people have died, so many wars, and on the flip side, you could see that life's pretty good at this moment, except for all this idiotic political stuff, where they're trying to destroy what is being created, if I can say it that way.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is there's actually a dividing line within. It's all about the United States military, guys. If anybody wants to dispute that, that's it. We're actually talking about what the United States military, as an institution, as fractured as it is, what they're going to do.
This just fracturing. You got what eight generals against 800. Full board colonels to 5-star generals. 8 against 800 is not a fracture.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah,
it's not a fracture.
Nobody's going to follow them. Here's what's really cute. Because of the nature of the transition of power.
Pedophile in power. Come on.
Yeah.
And they're very much aware of that.
Everyone's very much aware of that.
There was about 2 days. Maybe a day and a half, where they had not appointed there was no confirmation of a Secretary of Defense. The acting Secretary of Defense, by the rules of the various, because of the National Guard, the national emergency, the Trump appointed acting Secretary of Defense was holding on to power into the Biden administration. So before there was an official anything that happened, there were a few things that happened that were under a purview in the rank and file that was present for Trump under Biden. So that was some precious time, because that's the thing, like no appointments and all the and half of the actors in like military stuff was Trump people. So yeah, exactly, because they got to see stuff happen on the immediate side of the change of power.
And we're in the whole wait and see thing still. That's one thing. We sort of have to see
absolutely.
Things. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, Monty, we are down to 3 options: war with Iran, war with China, or they bring President Trump back to be like a worldwide economic messiah to make some kind of deal to pull us from the abyss.
Yeah, that is a possibility, but for that to happen, as the marketing to try and bring Trump back into the thing, because he's so divisive at this point in time.
They would have to use Blue Beam as a marketing device to bring him back. And have Trump appear in the clouds.
Reset elections. They can take over. In other words, this is a Vikings stick. Basically, the military says after about a month of all these executive orders of what Biden is doing, they say enough of this crap, and they just basically take over. They come before the American people, and they go, look, in 60 days, you're going to have new elections. Either party can pick whoever they want. We don't care. Yeah. But you're going to have new elections, and that's going to be that. Yeah,
it's got to be done right. That's pretty close to that's it. Trump has to be asked to come back into the game, if I could say it that way. In that scenario, go ahead, Viking.
No, he's already declared himself as a candidate. You know, he knows it's going to happen. There has to be another election. And not only a new election, but a new election for a constitutional United States. The old United States of America incorporated, you know, with a triad. You know, we all know that says City of London, the Vatican, and Washington D.C. basically was stripping us of our rights and funds.
Yep.
Well, the City of London has collapsed. The Vatican has collapsed. We're here, you know, as far as I'm concerned, this administration is in a dinghy, you know, floating on the high seas, pretending to be an admiral. It's not. He doesn't have a chance. You know, this is where, you know, again, I'm going to go with your third theory here, where there'll be a point in time where there's a military coup, and this false administration, which is seditious and treasonous, they have a constitutional obligation to get rid of this asshole.
Technical term for those playing at home. Go ahead, Steve.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. What Viking's saying is that what we're looking at, if this stands, we're looking at the military, the United States military, installed a Satanist, pedophile, criminal, communist asset in the highest levels. My sister, she actually works on these computer. I don't want to say too much. I don't know exactly what she does, but she works on a separate computer system for the military. And she says if she even has a Chinese national as a friend, she is disqualified from working on that computer system. And yet Biden is going to be the president of the United States. It cannot stand. So something's got to give here. Something's going to have to give.
In this age of information, it just seems more sensible to be able to do it in a better way where there's absolutely no loss of lives. Maybe that's what they're working towards.
No, they don't want any loss of lives. There's no reason. I mean, there will, unfortunately, and this is all the algorithms are showing, when this takes place, there will be civil unrest and there will be some loss of life. But it's not going to be, you know, a Mad Max scenario, you know, because there's just too many people that are really upset with guns. They might feel that they have to make a stand, but I don't feel that it's going to be a huge worldwide loss of life through war or
Viking. Yeah, Viking. That's the other fact. Real quick, that's the other fact that Viking is talking about. So we know Trump is not a coward based on his speeches throughout basically his presidency, but especially during when he was a candidate. He gave more over-the-top speeches than JFK. He called out the generals. He called out everybody, big pharma. So we know Trump is not a coward. So he didn't step down because he was scared. We knew he could have protected his family. If they threatened his family, he could have put him in an underground basis. So we're left with this other fact, this fourth fact. And the fourth fact is that somehow the deep state came to him and they showed him that they could hack, cut, slice.
No.
Look, dude, it's
you know, with President, when
it's super simple. It's super simple. With him out of the narrative, they can't use him as a fixed point of hatred.
Yes.
And they have to rely on us hating each other. Like the meme always said, they're not after me, they're after you. I'm just in the way. And then it's got Trump's like picture. So that's why he stepped down.
Also,
because
Steve, stepping down, him not being in the picture when the military does take over, he will not be the dictator, right?
Yeah, he won't be the.
That's right.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve. Sorry.
Also, you will notice with the absolute disgraceful job of dictating that Biden is doing with a bazillion executive orders, just like that, with no pomp, no circumstances, no conversation with Congress, just executive orders, going on and on forever, just like that. Public opinion will be against elements of this takedown, like the takedown of Biden. Right, but Biden being taken down is not so much the problem as the idea of a complete illegitimacy of what's going on, and who wants to riot because they stopped a job killing administration? Who wants to riot because they stopped an administration that started implementing policies and many people agreed were racist and weren't objecting to them when they happened to get removed under Trump? They just forgot about it because they're going to start seeing, why are you pulling down that? We like that. Wait, Trump did that, but I liked that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Trump did that and I liked it. And people are going to go through that. That's part of the waking up process.
Yeah.
It's effing genius. It's all baked in the cake. For all we know, we're meant to believe Christopher Wray is the bad guy, so that way the enemy thinks Christopher Wray is the bad guy, and he's waiting.
Yeah.
Knows?
Here in Australia, Sky News, there's a host, Rowan Dean, I think his name is. He basically started listing all the achievements Trump did, and he said, "There's 12 pages of this, so we can't really go through them all because we'll be here in 4 hours." And he still moved forward, and because basically I've got a strange kind of theory here that most people just want to have food on the table, not have economic stress, and live their lives. And if Biden's clamping down and using the people as a political football, basically, and using everyone so he looks good, and yet the country is basically being pushed into a third world. Even a scenario is, even if Trump never comes back, he still can do a tour like Led Zeppelin and just be vocal about certain things. Biden will be removed, and if Kamala gets in, it'll be worse. But you're going to have, as HiJackers alluded to, there's in a way, there's going to be a breaking point because the country cannot continue on this way. Also, I know I'm an outsider, but it will affect globally because if America starts going down that way, the ripple effects go out.
Yeah, Monty, you're right. We got 6 minutes left, so Viking, on this last 6 minutes before we get touch everybody's base on how they can support. I just want to ask you, Viking. We can see where this is going. And so I've got to ask you, because you're an apostle of Q, and people have pronounced Q is now dead. I believe that. I believe it was a psyop. I don't believe any of it. But with that being said, you being an apostle of Q, how do you see what the timeline is going to go down in the next 3 to 6 months? Go ahead.
Well, first of all, this again, I strongly believe there'll be a military coup. There'll be a new election, and the election will be for the 19th president of the United States of America with the full constitutional rights. Ulysses S. Grant being the last president that held its tenure under the Constitution, and there's going to be a complete world reset economically and geopolitically. I just the Constitution states that the inauguration of a president takes place March 4th. So I'm seeing that March 4th is kind of a signet or banner date. And I just feel that if nothing has happened by April 1st, then I'm going to throw my hat in.
Steve, same question to you. All right.
Steve's on mute.
I'm sorry. As long as the National Guard holds out and we don't see a negative timeline event, then I think that we who believe the best is yet to come the positive timeline is winning. That's my metric.
Yeah. By the way, the National Guard is going to stay in D.C. until March 30th.
Oh, March 30th now? It was February 8th last I heard because of
it's March 30th. In fact, they're going to stay in. They're going to stay there until the election.
Yeah, well, yeah, well, yeah. The reason that the reason they put forward is that they're waiting till the impeachment of Trump is over, because their rationale is that all those evil grandmas will break into the Capitol again and try and kill them all. Cortek.
I agree with it. I agree with it playing out this way, and Orange Man removing himself from the equation makes it far more obvious to everyone else what's going on, and it's waking up far more people, it seems.
Yeah, because
again, last year up until now and up until this very moment has been the biggest digital psyop anyone's ever seen. So,
Strange fact, Breitbart got a word from Rand Paul that the impeachment is actually dead on arrival in the Senate. Rand Paul says they don't have enough Democrats to vote on it.
Yeah, 45 Republicans. Yeah.
So this isn't even going to, how did that happen? I was just like, but the level of betrayal. How is this?
Well,
there's a timeline war going on, guys. This is a time war.
Well,
we're also 2 timelines duping it out. It's funny.
Yeah, if you actually, Razorfist pointed it out, if you actually listen to Trump's speech, he doesn't say go and be violent, basically, so they use it. So it's just like the first impeachment, where they thought they had an idea, but they couldn't prove it in a court of law or in the ritual type thing. And so...
Monty, to give you a heads up, so you got actually almost twice as many listeners listening to you from the beginning, and we're coming up to the last 3 minutes. I don't know if you want to continue the broadcast. If enough people hang, I'll hang over. But just to let you know, you got a huge audience right now. And if you want to give wafer thin. Wafer
Thin Entertainment on YouTube, and if you go to most podcasts, because I'm on 8 different podcasts through Anchor FM, if you look for Wafer Thin, you'll be able to find this show, and I'll be sharing, because I've got the Monty Dean show, which I'll bring back occasionally, and my comedy show with Andrew Bartzis, that'll be going up as well in audio form. So more places to actually see or listen to all of us. And the reason that we've got twice the listeners this time is because Cortek's awesome. So
I got about 13 people on D-Live.
I think it's Viking.
Well, of course, yeah. Well, yeah. It's,
So, here, a hijacker. A fifth scenario. This is out there, man. But they assassinate Biden.
Yeah, they'll cause chaos.
I've heard that one. I have heard that
they
one.
Assassinate Biden, then the whole thing becomes unraveled, and then becomes a whole, mess.
Yeah,
right.
Bun fight would be the
talking about.
Well, what about President Harris then?
Well, she could be challenged. Go, all right. Finish your thought, hijacker, and then we'll start doing the wrap up.
Yeah, what Viking's talking about is that what they're going to do is they're going to basically have a sort of a JFK event on Biden, blame it on the Trumpites, a reason to go after him nationwide, which they've already set up secret police and that type of thing. Harris gets installed, and that then we go into full-blown Bolshevik-type Soviet Cheka
socialism.
Right? Yeah. The Dark Knights, the Gulag type thing.
Yeah.
In which they do the roundups. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
We all got a lot of guns.
Yeah, and just the amount of hypocrisy as well.
They would have to do that dark of the night, in such mass numbers to make it work.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to work. In fact, I've always imagined that we were going to go through that with Obama, but we didn't.
No.
When they had so much power.
And I believe the after party host has just turned up. Pones, how are you, sir?
After party host.
Yeah, well, you turn up for the last minute and just say, "Hey, I'm here." So if you want to keep going, you've got
I've
a
got to
couple of
clean
guests.
up after you blokes, mate. Come on.
Hey, I'm wearing pants this time. Calm down.
What are you doing Sunday? Come to the market, man. We'll get you some cash in your pocket.
Ooh.
Bring a bag of stuff. All right?
Yeah, I'll see what we'll talk off air. We're coming. I don't think I actually have a break because we're on the old server. So you can find me at wait.
People are gonna stay. If a couple of people stay,
Yeah,
I'll stick around for a little while. But I mean, we got a huge audience. We actually have twice as many.
Yeah. Well, but it happened last week. Pony and Cortek just waffle on. So hang around, HiJacker.
It's also Viking. Viking brings that whole Q segment.
Yeah.
They're formidable. They're dying.
Yes. I'm just trying to wrap up for the YouTube, so I can end the show. Yeah, and then Revolution Radio Studio A will continue on. That just makes people have to wake up at 4 a.m. to listen to us on the East Coast. Because, what did they say on the after party? Well, you'll have to go to the archives on freedomslips.com. I can be found at Wafer Thin Entertainment on YouTube, as well as a lot of the podcasts and at all. Instagram, monty.dean, where I meme up a storm, as well as on Twitter, while I'm still there, at Real Monty Dean, where I meme and just poke fun at people. Like, I shared a great quote from Joe Biden. I love the smell of children in the morning. It's a Apocalypse Now reference, as well as on Facebook as Monty Dean. Viking, where can people find you, sir?
So I do a council on Fridays, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, called the Galactic Interstellar Council, Down the Rabbit Hole, a Galactic Perspective. And this week we'll be talking about this new transfer of energy into this new ballpark, this new paradigm, and your best ways and tools to negotiate this purging. This is the Great Purge.
Yes, it's a good show. I listen to the replay when I can, maybe Monday, around about Mondays, once it goes on YouTube, because when you're on air, I'm sleeping, let's be fair. Steve, where can people find you and sling you a couple of lemons?
Yeah, man, the lemon slinging can happen on DLive, Zerilath, DLive.tv/Zerilath, same spelling on YouTube also. I feed some different and interesting content to YouTube, and you can find links to my alternative medias in the descriptions of those channels.
Yes, thank you for semi-broadcasting, a simulcast, as we used to say when Elton John played the MCG. It's a reference to Cortek.
For Deacon John. So Deacon John tomorrow, Liberation Nation, 2 p.m. Pacific time. That would be 5 p.m. Eastern time on Studio A. Deacon John's got the #1 weekly show, 5 days a week on there. I'm going to be jumping on. I'll lay out the 3 models. Maybe I'll come up with more before the night's over, but pretty much it looks like 3 models. War with Iran, war with China, or Trump comes back somehow. And I'll lay that out. And that's going to be kind of my signing off, although I don't sign off anymore because I'm not under control of my own self. So if something big comes up, I'll jump in.
Yeah.
But so Deacon John tomorrow, 2 p.m. Pacific, Studio A. Go ahead.
Cortek, where can people find you? Just like a bus terminal or
or the fridge or the bottle o.
Yeah. Tonight, one night only, Cortek will be appearing in the kitchen. That has been Planet Collingwood. In a moment's time will be the after party where Pony Pones takes the keys of the studio and takes it for a run. You've been awesome. Thank you for being here. And if you enjoyed the last 2 hours, please donate to the station so we can continue on with my silliness and all the other good information and sharing and so forth and such. So we shall see you in 6 days and 22 hours. But now it's the after party. We'll see you soon.